Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this event, the Introduction to Biomedical Sciences at St George's University of London. My name is Lanisha, and I'm the Events Officer at St George's University, and I will be the host for the event today. So during this event, we won't be able to hear or see, so you can communicate with us by using the chat box function, which you should hopefully have on your screens. So any questions you have from now until the end of the event, please do send them through to us, and myself and the support staff I have will try to answer all of those questions for you. So for the format of this event, I'm going to kick it off with a video from the student support team. So during that video, you'll be able to hear about our student finance, accommodation, and other support services that we have for students here at St George's. Following that video, you will then have a course overview. So you will hear from one of the academics from the course, and they will give you an overview of the course, which will last about 25 minutes. Following the course overview, you will hear from one of our current students, and they will give you a bit of insight into what the course is like as a current student. And after that, we will have a live Q&A panel. So any questions that you guys have sent in that haven't been answered through live chat, then we will answer those through the live Q&A towards the end of the event. So just a little bit of housekeeping. If for whatever reason your connection cuts out, please do try and log back in. We will still be here running the event. If for whatever reason you're unable to log back in, then this event is being recorded. And once it's finished being recorded, we will house it on our website and also on our YouTube channel, so you can watch the recording then. If for whatever reason my connection cuts out, then I will obviously try and log back in, or otherwise one of my colleagues will take over for me. And so at the end of this event, there will be a pop-up survey that will come up on your screens. I'd be very grateful if you could just take a few minutes to fill out the survey, just so we can get a bit of feedback about this event, so we can make improvements for future events that we have in this way. So thank you all for listening to my introduction. I'm now going to play the student support video for you, which I hope you will enjoy.
Hello everyone, my name's Gavin Taylor and I'm the Head of Student Services here at St George's. Today I'm going to talk to you about some of the support services that we have for students here at St George's. Many of the services we offer are badged under our Student Centre or Student Life Centre banners, and these include things like health, well-being, learning support, finance and accommodation services. Let's have a look at each of those in turn, and I'll give you some highlights of each of the services as we go through. So the first place to start is health. And let's talk about occupational health. Now, the occupational health team are there to ensure that students and staff are fit to undertake their work or their study alongside patients. And they're the ones in the application process who will ask you for reports about your health and will undertake tests and vaccinate you as necessary. OH are also there to make sure that any health conditions that might affect patient safety are appropriately managed. So they don't vanish on day one of your course. They're with you all the way through and all the way through your career, in fact, to make sure that you are healthy and okay and all right to work with patients. Now, universities will take a variety of different approaches to supporting the health of their students. You may find if you've been looking at large campus universities, they've got a health centre there on campus. At St George's, because we're an urban university, we work closely with our local GPs, and there are about 20 of them within about a kilometre of the St George's campus, to ensure that everyone has access to all the services that they need. Most of the local surgeries will actually come onto campus for our Freshers' Fair in your first week, and they'll get everybody signed up there and accessing their services as they go through. That's how we approach your health while we're studying. Moving on to look at student well-being. So the place to start with this one is your personal tutor. So every student at St George's is assigned a personal tutor from the very first day. Now, tutors have an academic role. They'll be giving you some of your assessments while you're in study. They also have a very strong pastoral one, so they're there to make sure that you're okay and succeeding and doing your very best right the way through. And that's a big strength of the size of St George's. Our small size lets us offer that to everybody, and I think it's a real strength of what we do. Now, as well as your tutor and as well as the specialist staff on my team in the Student Life Centre, St George's has a very large, for our size, and very well used counselling service, as well as a psychiatrist in-house to support students' mental health. We've also got a thriving faith community for a science-based university, and a chaplaincy that looks after both the university staff and students and the staff at the NHS Trust as well. And we work closely with our students' union in all kinds of different things, from faith right the way through to all the different activities that they offer, to make sure that there's a comprehensive network of support within the SU and the university and the trust next door, and all the way through all around our students while they're studying with us. From well-being, let's have a look at some of the learning support that's on offer. So again, universities will have different approaches to writing and study skills support, but all of them will have some. Here at George's, we operate an academic success center, and that's led by 3 senior lecturers who are there to really make sure that every student at St George's does as well academically as they possibly can. That includes all kinds of different things, from English as a second language support through writing skills, and even A-level refresher catch-up sessions for our graduate entry students. So if you're feeling a bit rusty in the chemistry or the stats, they'll get you back up to speed when you start with us at George's. We also believe that we've got an ethical as well as a legal obligation to support disabled students. Now, I do get approached from time to time with students concerned that their disability may be a barrier to them taking up their place in a healthcare profession. So just to say from the outset, there are very few, if any, barriers to disabled people entering the healthcare profession. There's really no barrier there. And our aim is to ensure that our support is just as rounded as possible to make sure that everybody is supported. And that includes the academic dimension as well as the clinical placements and other things that you'll be doing, as well as all the stuff that surrounds those things, like your housing and other things as well. Now, it is worth just saying that talking to us early if you're disabled really does help us make sure that everything is in place to start supporting you from the very beginning of your studies. It can take a while to get everything up and running and in place that you need. So please do talk to us nice and early so we can make sure that everything is up and running and going. Now, it's also worth just saying that some students, about 50% of people with a specific learning difficulty, find that out at university. And so we offer free assessments to all students, and free specialist support as well, if that's the situation that you might find yourself in. So let's have a look at finance. So I guess the first thing that I'd like to say here is really just to reassure you, there are 2.5 million university students in the UK at the moment. Now, these are folk who are on the same financial footing as you will be when you are studying. The amounts of money involved in higher education at the moment are daunting. Student loans are large, fees look big. And there's a lot to think about, but just remember there are 2.5 million people who are managing okay on it. It's not necessarily an easy thing, but it is a thing that people can do, and you can do it too, and we are here to help you do it. So just some things to keep in mind. UK tuition fees are currently £9,250. They are largely set by Parliament. Will we see things change in the next few years before you start? That's a possibility. And we'll communicate that all the way through. But just for the moment, the data we've got, 9250. Maximum maintenance loan. So this is for UK students who are living away from the family home in London. The maximum amount you can get in a loan from Student Finance England is £12,382 per year. And also just to note that students who are undertaking training towards allied health professions, so physiotherapy, radiography, paramedic science, and indeed our colleagues doing midwifery and nursing, they're also eligible for a bursary from the NHS of £5,000 per academic year as well. Now, if you're taking out a student loan, there are no upfront costs for attending university. So the Student Finance England or the Scottish equivalent or the Welsh equivalent or the Northern Irish equivalent will pay for your fees. And everybody is guaranteed to receive that loan if they apply for it. So if you're a UK student and it's your first degree, if you're not taking a degree an undergraduate degree for the second time, you are eligible to have it funded by government. Now, the loans that you take out, both for your tuition fees and for your maintenance costs, become repayable after graduation once you're earning more than £27,000 per year. Also, just to note that tuition fee and maintenance support is available for all of the programs at St George's, including graduate entry pre-registration courses. Now, you may have heard that, indeed I've just said, that there are limited funds for people who are doing a second undergraduate degree. Now, just to note that for MBBS 4, for the graduate entry medicine program at George's, and the MSc physiotherapy program, they are exceptions to that rule. So those courses are fully funded from a variety of different means for your studies for the years that you're in. So do bear that in mind. Also, just to add, hardship funds are available for all students. We've got a pot of money aside for students who find themselves in unexpected difficulty while they're studying, as will most places. If you find yourself in financial difficulty at any point, do just get in touch and we can help. Now, there are some things that you can start doing now. So I think we're quite early in the application process as I'm talking to you today. So there are some things to get underway with. I think the most important one of those is to get a budget together for your tuition and maintenance costs and for the amount of money that you might have coming in. Now, there are some great budgeting tools and some finance calculators available online to help you do that. You can find those by checking our website. We'll point you at the various calculators, or the NHS one, or the Student Finance England one, or just Google them. There are loads of things out there, and you can work out within about 20 minutes of online searching just how much you're likely to have as income and how much you're likely to spend as a student living in London, and let you work yourself out a budget for the years that you'll be in study. It's really important to do that. It's also a really good idea to look at other sources of funding beyond Student Finance England or the NHS. There are a huge number of trusts and charities and other organizations that are there to support students in higher education, especially those students that are doing healthcare courses. So do get out and have a look for those as well. And then lastly, a quick look at accommodations. So things to know there. Most undergraduate students, certainly at St George's, live in halls of residence with us in year one and then move out into private accommodation nearby in subsequent years. That's the typical pattern. We own our own halls of residence, Horton Halls. It's about a mile away from the university main campus, and it houses 480 students. That's about 80% of our first year intake who live in halls of residence with us. Now, we guarantee places in halls to our international students, disabled students, and students with other welfare needs. We prioritize places for all other first-year students. That includes graduate entry medics, that includes master's physician associate students, that includes MSc physiotherapy students. We have great thriving communities of our graduate entry and postgrad students in halls as well. Our halls is for everyone. Similarly, we don't prioritize places based on postcode or distance from campus. So we are looking for folk who want to get away and have a moving out of home campus-based university experience, even if they live in London already. We're here for you. In terms of rent, to note, we benchmark our rents against local private housing as well as other halls of residence. There's been a great boom in the recent years of private companies coming into the student residential sector. That has driven prices up. What we do is we make sure that we benchmark against what housing actually costs in our local area, not just what housing costs look like in higher education. And we keep our rents firmly under control that way. I'd never argue seriously to anybody that staying in halls of residence, even with us, was an inexpensive option. But I would argue, looking against local rents, we certainly are a less expensive option in a lot of cases. And halls is an extension of our student services team and is a central part of what we do as a welfare provision. So we really are there to support everybody to move in, start university, have a great time, really get underway with your studies, and really get you off on the right foot in terms of university and on into your future career. So it's a big part of what we do. And I think halls is a really terrific opportunity and a really excellent thing to do in your first year. So that's largely it from me. We've got some of my colleagues who are in the chat already for this webinar, so you can dive in and ask them questions. If you've got anything else that you'd like to know, you can contact us through the inquiries team. They'll pass on any individual or complex questions, and we're very, very happy to answer them. So please just ask us. And a slight bonus for me, I'm aware sometimes that we don't just have future students looking at this, but we also have mums and dads looking at this as well. So if you're a mum and dad watching, or you want to let them know a few things if they're concerned, here are a few things that I'd like them to know as well. The first of that is George's is one of the safest campuses in London per the Metropolitan Police stats. We are a very safe place. We're in a very, very safe part of a big city. Students don't behave as you'd imagine is another thing I'd like you to know. Our students typically, as are many university students, our students typically are in employment. They are typically involved in community activities. The local community is usually very pleased to see our students coming rather than the opposite. They really are a huge boon to the local area. And so our students are not as students might normally be perceived to be. Universities, and George's included, will offer support and training to new students and don't pull any punches. We do anti-racism training in our first week. We do anti-sexual violence training in our first week. We don't pull any punches about what our community is about or what sort of profession that folks are trying to get into. So that will happen in the first week to keep everybody safe, to introduce them to community and really get them thinking about what's going to come ahead. We usually can't talk to you without the student directly requesting. And lastly, having the talk, and I don't mean that talk, I mean a talk about finances is hugely invaluable and really, really is probably the best thing that you can do for a student before they get off to university. Anyway, that's my time. Thank you very much for listening to me today. Again, there are folk available for questions in the chat, and we're available really from now until you start and right the way through if you've got to ask us. My name's Gavin Taylor. Thank you very much for coming to see us today online, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
Hi everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and to those of you that joined us a bit late, I hope you caught some of that video, which was detailing our student support services, accommodation, finance and things. If we have time towards the end of this webinar, I will replay that video for you so you don't miss the content. However, failing that, this webinar will be recorded, so you will be able to see all of the content on our YouTube channel or on the webinars page on our website. Okay, so now we're going to move into the next session for this webinar, which will be a course overview delivered to you by one of our academics. So could I please invite Dr. Yao to join us on screen? Hi, good afternoon. I think your mic is still muted. Just bear with us one moment, guys. Apologies for the slight delay in this next session. Just bear with us one moment while we make sure we just get the technology working okay. Hi guys. So while we wait for the technology issues to be sorted, I'm just going to play you guys a quick video, and this will give you a quick glimpse into. Oh, okay. No, we're back here. Hi, Dr. Yao. We can see you, but we can't hear you as yet. Okay, still having a few more issues there. I'm going to play you guys a quick video just to give you guys a quick virtual tour of our campus for those of you that haven't managed to come and see us as yet. And then hopefully Dr. Yao will be with us shortly. And if he does join us while the video is playing, I will pause it so we can continue on with the planned schedule. Hi, Dr. Yao. We can see you just fine.
Can you hear
Can
me
you
now?
hear me? Yes, we can.
Okay, all right,
Awesome.
thank you. Okay, thank you.
Excellent. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Yao now, and he will give you an overview of our course.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
We can see your screen, and yep, now we can see the presentation.
Okay, all right, thank you. Right, in the next 30 minutes, I'll be talking to you about the biomedical science course in St. George's. My name is Dr. Yao Ohini Ubwaka, one of the admissions tutor. Now, if you want to go to university, there are some few things that you would like to consider before you choose the course in the university. The things that you need to consider are career opportunities, facilities for students, course content, satisfaction of current students, and why that specific university. This is not in any specific order. Okay, so what can you do with a degree in biomedical science? You can do a lot of things, a variety of things with biomedical science degree. You can work in the pharmaceutical industry, biotechnology, clinical research, diagnostic. You can also work in a law firm, grant funding, intellectual property, and even medical writing, or become a teacher. You can also go on further to do a degree in physician associate studies, master's in research or master's in science, PhD, dentistry, and medicine. Now, in year 3 of this program in St. George's, you can specialize in many areas, including global health, anatomy, genomics, infection and immunity, law, and then medical ethics, which gives you further career options. Now, this is an example of some of our students, alumni who have gone out to work in areas which, because of the transferable skills that they gain in St. George's, they are working in areas that are not, some of the areas are not connected with biomedical science or not doing any research with their biomedical science degree. We got Carl, for instance, is working with KPMG, an accounting firm. And then we also got one student who is working with review operations assistant. And then there's another student working in clinical research as a senior site manager. One student went on to do a degree in law at Paralegia, then has now, I believe, has finished a degree in law. There are some students who also have gone on to do PhD. One student was doing a PhD in St. George's, one went to do a PhD in the University of Washington. So there are a lot of things that you can do with a degree in biomedical science. George, for instance, is working as Deloitte, another accounting firm. Now, why have these people managed to work in those areas that were not connected with biomedical science? The reason being that they have gained transferable skills that they developed during their degree in biomedical science. Some of these transferable skills include communication, teamwork, management, problem solving, research and investigation. Then also planning and leadership skills. So in St. George's, as a biomedical science student, you can enroll at the St. George's Skills and Recognition Award module. And this will allow you to showcase your skills and gain an award for each that you can include on your CV. The outcome of graduates from St. George's, this is not what St. George's have done, but this is something that is done by the Department of Education, that after 15 months after graduation, the St. George's students or graduates in 28, those who started in 2017, 2018, about 85% of them were in employment or in further study. So out of that, 23 were employed, 15 were employed and further study, and 48% further studies. And that's for those who did BSc. For the other students, those students who did MSc, all of them, that's 100%, were employed on further studies 15 months after graduation. Now, if you want to come to St. George to do biomedical science in the year 2022, starting from the year 2022, The entry requirement for the GCA level is 3 Bs with chemistry and biology. So you have to get chemistry B and biology also B. The two subjects are very important for the biomedical science degree in St. George's. We offer lower, our offers are lower than other schools within London because we try to give students from a low background the opportunity to come and study in St. George's. If you do a research 3 years, we can consider that one as well. But if you do general studies is not acceptable to do biomedical science in St. George's. Now, with your A-level results, you also need at least 5 GCSE with at least 6 in maths, English language, and double science. So double science can also be biology and chemistry. So the minimum should be 6 in all these. If you are doing the international baccalaureate, then the overall score should be 34, where 16 points should be at the higher level, which should include 6 in either biology or chemistry. And the minimum requirement for maths should be 5, and just like in English. However, if you're doing access to higher education diploma, then you have to get 45 graded credits. You have to get 45 credits. And out of that 45 credits, 27 should be distinction and 18 should be merit. St. George's is a smaller university. Total number of students about 3,700. And the biomedical science, the intake every year is 250 students. Medical students in St. George's, total number of medical students here is also about 1,200. And there are other students doing other courses allied to medicine, which include healthcare science, paramedics, physiotherapy, radiography, clinical pharmacology. So it's a healthcare special university. So you are studying with students who are also doing other courses, but all of you are studying something regarding human body or how to treat human beings. Now, teaching and research. Why am I showing this? The reason being that when you come to St. George's in your final year, you have an opportunity to work in one of these labs, one of our state-of-the-art labs, where you'll be working with an academic, which will be your supervisors. You will be working one-to-one with the academic who are specialized in their area, and using some of these instruments. We have a 30 weeks teaching, which is divided into 2 semesters, and we estimate that students should be working for about 40 hours per week. Now, teaching contact time, we have lectures, tutorials, dissecting room, practical classes, and a research project. Now, because of the current situation, some of the lectures are done on site, some of the lectures are done live via Teams, and some lectures are pre-recorded. We also have tutorials. All tutorials are done on site, where students are grouped in about 8 to 10 students per group. And these are done on site, where they meet every week with an academic to facilitate the session. There's also a DR, dissecting room, where students are also grouped about 8 to 10 students per table. This is also done on site, or some are also done virtual. Then we have practicals. So first and second year, students come to the university to do practicals once every week. Now, first year students once a week, second year students also once every week. Then when you come to third year, you do a research project. And that's research project, that means you will be on site with your supervisor, working in some of the state-of-the-art laboratories that I showed you earlier on. Now, the course content, as I mentioned, that if you are applying for to go to university to study, you want to look at the course content. The core subject areas in St. George's Biomedical Sciences are anatomy, cell and molecular biology, genetics, immunology, pharmacology, pathology and physiology. You also do anatomy dissection, where in the DR room, dissecting room. There is also research methodology and laboratory techniques. Now, when you go to second year, you'll be doing what we call molecular basis of disease, which include cellular pathology, clinical biochemistry, and hematology. And then also another module called microbiology and immunology, which includes infection and immunity, clinical genetics. And alongside this, you'll also be doing what we call personal and academic skills module, which includes study skills, learning strategies, calculations, data handling, statistics, and writing and communication skills. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about that. Now, year one, the 2 semesters. The first semester, we have 4 modules. So the fundamentals of living cell, and the fundamentals of pathology, fundamentals of pharmacology and physiology, and then personal and academic skills. This is done in year one of first semester. Then semester 2, you do physiology and anatomy, physiology 1 and physiology anatomy 1. And you continue to do the personal and academic skills. Then you come to year 2. Year 2, that is semester 3. You do genomics, physiology 2, anatomy 2, and you continue doing the personal and academic skills. And then semester 4, that's in the second semester of year 2, where you'll be doing the molecular basis of diseases, and also microbiology and immunology, which I mentioned that you'll be doing infection and immunity. And then you'll also be doing personal and academic skills. Now, the personal and academic skills modules are some of the transferable skills that we teach our students who study in St. George's. This includes writing, as literature search, referencing, and then plagiarism, that how not to plagiarize. Also, study skills. Transition from school to university can be very difficult, so we help our students to do that transition, to become an independent learner, to grow personally, to be able to manage their time, and then learning strategies are also taught. We also do employability, teach the students employability. There are a lot of career fairs organized within the university to help students to choose where to go when they finish, or how to apply for a job, or how to apply for postgraduate positions. There's also communication skills. There's also group work and quality and diversity. We also teach you about quantitative research methodology, as well as qualitative research methodology. These are done in the first 2 years. So in the final year, when you come to the final year, you have the choice to go, you choose a pathway that you want to do your final year in. And that pathway is, you have to choose 75 credits of taught modules, and then you do a research which constitutes 45 credits. So your third year, the total credits should be 120 credits. And you have to get 75 credits for the taught module. So that's 75 credits. You have to get 2 30-credit modules and 1 15-credit module. That makes up 75 for the taught module, plus your research project, which is 45 credits. So these are some of the modules that you do in the final year. About 15 of the 15 credit modules and about 18 of the 30 credit modules. And then in we also have what we call BSc Clinical Bioscience only, which I will talk about that a little bit later. Now, these modules have also been arranged. So there are about 10 pathways that you can choose from when you come to the third year in your final year. You can do either anatomy, and then the anatomy pathway means the modules that you do include development and diseases, images of anatomy, and then you do 115 credit module, which is clinical applied musculoskeletal anatomy. And if you want to do genomics, also there are modules that you have to select to do the genomics pathway. If you want to do global health and humanities, the same thing. There are modules that you have to choose to be able to graduate with a BSc Biomedical Science with global health and humanities. If you want to do medical ethics and law, also there are modules that you choose that will allow you to graduate with BSc Biomedical Science with medical ethics and law. Now, this clinical bioscience course is reserved for some of our students who want to do medicine after their graduation. So at the end of the second year, these students should get a minimum of 67%. Then they can go on to do in the third year clinical bioscience pathway, where they do more of clinical anatomy, and also they do clinical communication and professionalism skills. So that is to prepare these students when they go to do medicine. That is for the BSc. Now, if someone is doing the MSci, then that also, there are pathways that you want to choose. The biomedical research technology is done for all of them, but you can choose the molecular cell and molecular biology pathway, the clinical neuroscience pathway, conflict and catastrophic medicine pathway. Beside these taught modules, there are also research project modules. So we have 16 research project modules that you also choose from. The anatomy and development and cell biology, cardiovascular science, clinical neuroscience, clinical sciences, medical ethics, law and humanities. I'm not going to mention all of them, but there are a variety of research project modules for you to choose from. So in St. George, there's a flexible degree structure. So where I mentioned that there are pathways that you can choose from. So when you graduate, at the end of your third year, when you graduate, you get your degree as BSc Biomedical Science with anatomy, if you choose the anatomy pathway, or with genomics, if you choose the genomic pathway, or with medical ethics and law, if you choose that pathway, or psychology, psychiatry, and neuroscience. So depending on which pathway that you choose, but importantly, that whichever pathway you choose, it means the taught module should be 75 credits of that pathway to be able to graduate with that path, BSc Biomedical Science with anatomy. It means the taught module should have 75 credits of related anatomy-related subjects. Biomedical Science, the MSci. Now, St. George's is the only MSci university that's offer the Biomedical Science MSci. That is the only university in London that offers this degree. And it is a continuous integrated 4-year program. And the research skills modules are taught, and it's quite extensive compared to the BSc. This one is targeted to students who want to do research and are interested in science. So you gain more practical and research skills than the 3-year biomedical science degree course. And it also offers you more competitiveness for PhD study or research posts in academia or in pharmaceutical industry or bioscience industry. And this is eligible for 4 years of student loans. And also you can get the Erasmus scheme, where there is an opportunity for you to go and do your final year in an European institute. Now the MSci, you can register for the MSci from the beginning of the course. And then at the end of second year, you can decide that you don't want to do the MSci, you can go and finish with the BSc. At the same time, you can register with BSc, and then at the end of second year, you decide that you want to do the 4-year course, then go and do the MSci. But the caveat is that whichever case it is, if you want to do the MSci, whether you register for the first year or you want to register, you didn't register for the first year, but you want to change at the end of from BSc at the end of the second year. At the end of the second year, your average marks should be above 60%. So if you start with MSci from first year and at the end of second year, your average mark for the first 2 years is less than 60%, you cannot go and do the MSci. You will be asked to go and finish with a BSc. The same way, if you start with BSc and you want to go and do the MSci, at the end of your second year, the average mark for the first 2 years should be over 60% before you can go and do the MSci. You'll be allowed to do the MSci. Now, the first 2 years is the same. It's only the third year that is different. You do more research in the MSci, and the project, in the case of the BSc, there's a 45 credit for the BSc project, whereas in the MSci, the research project constitutes 105 credits. So you do more of laboratory work, more research. A professional training year, that is enhancing the employability upon graduation. St. George's offer what we call the professional training year. It is an optional but integrated part of the degree where students can spend about 11 to 12 months, gain experience in a professional or industrial area which is relevant to medical science. Students can also go for 7 to 8 months for the Erasmus scheme as an European institute. And it can be 7 to 8 months for paid or unpaid placement. Now, this normally takes place between the second and the final year. So after your second year, then you can apply for the PTY. So if you want to do a PTY, you have to plan well in advance so that they will prepare you towards that, and then you make your application, and at the end of the second year, you go for the PTY. The aim of this PTY is to prepare the students for the world of work beyond university and to enable you also to develop your key employability skills that employers are looking for, and to equip you for the changing demands of workplaces. It also helps you to mature through personal and professional development, and you get more experience. And you can also put this one on your CV. If you do 1 full year in an industry, that goes in your CV. So here, the earnings of graduates by mode of study. PTY courses are faring better than full-time courses. This one shows, this is also by Department for Education Longitudinal Educational Outcome, that students who do PTY, they earn more than their counterparts who have not done PTY after graduation. So here, 1 year after graduation, those who did PTY, they earn more than those who didn't do the PTY. In 10 years, look at how much they are earning, far more than the students who didn't do the professional training year. So I advise that if you come to St. George's, you have to think about this and then maybe take on the PTY to enhance your employability and also to increase your earning power. Now we prepare our students for this PTY. So pre-placement, in the first 2 years, that is year 1 and year 2, we'll help the students to prepare their CV, and we also help them to prepare an application, help them with interviews and how to get places in the area that they want to go and do their PTY. Now the university have these places for them, so you don't have to go and look for the placement yourself. We've got the places. It's up to you to prepare your CV. We help you to prepare your CV and the application, and then we help you to go prepare you for an interview. And you go for the interview, and when you are successful, then you get the place. So when you get a place, your third year, after second year, so the third year, then you go for the placement. Whilst you are on the placement, you'll be visited by an academic, and they will assess you whilst you're on placement. And when you finish your placement, you come back to continue. That's on your fourth year. You come back to continue, and you submit a final report. So that is different from your dissertation. So in addition to your dissertation, you also submit a final report for the placement. And of course, you get certificate of professional training year, which will be issued by St. George's University of London. Now you can do the potential places for the PTY placement include GSK, Johnson & Johnson, MSD, Pfizer, Image Resources Facility in St. George's here. We also the St. George's Healthcare, Public Health England, and then Great Ormond Street Hospital. So, and now of course in Europe you can also go to Europe in some of the universities that have the Erasmus scheme. So just to let you know, few of us, what in the past years that we have done since we started this PTY placement, the first cohort, we had 10 students that went to do the PTY, and then some of them went to Pfizer, some went to Congenical, KCL, some were in St. George's University of London, and then UCL. Second year, 14 students. Again, some went to GSK, Swiss Precision Diagnostic, Great Ormond Street Hospital, and some went to Europe. And then third year, the third cohort, we have, that is last year, we have 7 students, okay? And then this, just these students who are now on their placement, that's the current cohort. For you have 11 students. Some of them are in the Erasmus, one is at Erasmus in Europe, one is working with MSD, one is working with St. George's, some working with Pfizer, GSK, and the Institute of Cancer Research, and then also Public Health England. So there are varieties. So all these students have got to these places. These places have been, I mean, it has been, I would say, ring-fenced for St. George's students, and then they have to apply to be able to get to those places. So I will again say that I will advise you to have a second thought if you come to St. George's, and you are interested in developing your scientific career. This is one of our students who went to do her PTY, and in the 1 year she got 2 papers from that, so she got 2 publications. So it is very important. It enhances your employability. If you have 2 publications, applying for a PhD or applying for a job anywhere, it improves your chances. Now, becoming a doctor after your BSc degree. About 30% of our students here go on to study medicine. Now, there are different routes that these students can take. One of the routes is specifically, the first one is specifically for St. George's Biomedical Science students, that they can go direct to TA of the 4-year MBBS. So what happens is that after the second year, students who are able to achieve 66% or above on average, okay, will be called for an interview, and those students who are successful in the interview will be placed in order of preference or in order of merit. And then we select the top 25 to go and join the second year of the 4-year MBBS. So in all, it will be 6 years. So currently, that is what we are doing, okay? And that's only for biomedical science students who are studying in St. George's. That is the first route. Now, the second route also is that you can also go to a graduate entry university or do a graduate entry course in another university or even in St. George's, but you start from the first year. So that one, it means you have to do exams that particular university required of their students and pass the exams and also do an interview. So that will be 4 years plus your 3 years, that will be 7 years. You can also go to the traditional non-graduate medical school, a 5-year degree. So some of our students even come back to St. George's to do the 5-year degree after they've graduated with the biomedical science degree. So in total, they do 8 years. So flexible degree structure in St. George's. You can, if you come to St. George's, you can graduate with BSc Biomedical Science with anatomy, with genomics, with medical ethics and law. And also, if you are successful in the interview, or if you are able to get 66% and above in your second year and you want to do medicine, where you go to the path of doing clinical bioscience, you get BSc in clinical bioscience. The BSc clinical bioscience, we have about 60 places for the students, but out of that 60 places, 25 places are reserved for students who are successful in the interview to go and do medicine. You can also graduate from St. George's with MSci in biomedical science. Now, St. George's is a very unique university And the biomedical sciences is unique because the course is in a specialist healthcare medical school environment, and there's a flexibility and a focus on your third year where you can select a particular pathway. There's intensive research on your final year, and it's also closely integrated within one of the UK's busiest hospitals, where some of our teaching staff are clinical staff, and also there are opportunity for you to get some work experience in the NHS laboratory. We also have learning development, which is integrated into the curriculum. So it develops your skills, transferable skills that you can take out of the world. And of course, the Erasmus scheme, where you can work outside of Europe. And also we have this career advice support to help you to plan ahead. And also the opportunity to work and gain professional experience during the PTY time. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Yao. I hope our attendees really enjoyed all of that useful information there. It's very useful, very informative. So Dr. Yao will be joining us again shortly when we have our live Q&A. But now we're going to go into our next segment, which is when you guys get the opportunity to hear from one of our current students. So if I could ask for Charlene to join us on screen, please.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, so over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So hi guys, my name is Charlene. I am French, but have lived in the UK for 8 years now. So the reason I study biomedical sciences, as you can see on the presentation, and I have done actually 4 years of biomed at St. George's. So the reason I've done 4 years is because I actually went ahead and did the placement training year that the doctor just mentioned previously. And so I've done basically my first 2 years as normal. Then last year during the pandemic, I applied to Gosh Institute and got a placement with them. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, the labs were closed. So I applied for a studentship where I got a microbiology grant during the summer with a lab at St. George's. And I basically extended that experience for, instead of like doing 2 months, I did 7 months, I think, in total at St. George's during the pandemic. So I'm kind of here to talk about my experience as a student at St. George's, as a student, as well as like in terms of like social life. So during my PTY, like I said, I did Gosh. So we looked at CAR T-cell therapy. So that was like 3-4 months of my year last year, and then I moved to microbiology, where I worked with the pediatric research pediatric infection immunity research team at St. George's. And I loved both of these experiences. I've learned so much from this year, not only in terms of like building myself as a professional in a lab with a research team, but also as an individual, being more independent, creating my own project, and basically working it through by myself with the help of my supervisor. This year's also helped me out a lot for my final year, where I am also undergoing another project, doing infection immunity pathway 2 with another professor. So I definitely recommend, if you're interested in biomedicine, I definitely recommend doing the PTY. So that's one thing. In terms of my social life at St. George's, so I took part in a lot of different communities. I tried everything the first year and the second year, and even now I still try different things because we do have a lot of societies. So I took part in the SGUL Language Society. I was a French tutor, which helped me gain experience to then become a tutor on another platform where now I earn money because of that experience as a tutor at St. George's. I'm also part of the Biomedical Science Society, where basically we have a lot of different activities to support each other during our year as biomeds. I'm a teddy bear doctor, and again, I'm sure you've heard of this through the video. And I've also taken part in the Pediatric Society. So with the society, I've done, during the 2 years, my first 2 years, I've done some work experience in the hospital at St. George's. in the PICU and NICU. So that's the pediatric intensive care unit and the neonates intensive care unit, which came all together when I did my research position assistance job with St. George's during my PTY. I had already met some of the doctors I worked with during that experience, so it really came hand in hand perfectly. I've also taken part in a lot of different activities, such as the Georges to Georges event, where we went with the whole group, as you can see, where it says Buckingham Palace. So that's where our old campus used to be, the St. George's campus, and then it got moved to Tooting. So we, during that day, St. George's Day, a group of students, it's a tradition, we go to the first stop, so that's near to Buckingham Palace, and then we walk through the whole way back to Tooting. It was a really fun event. I met a bunch of different individuals that were doing different courses. I made some really, really good friends. And actually one of those girls, like I'm on top, and then the other girl next to me is my flatmate now. So made great friends through this experience. I think one of the things that I really enjoyed, I really enjoyed about St. George's was the fact that it was a small community. I think one of the most daunting things going to uni is being by yourself, not having your parents next to you, like you would have in high school. So having this really close-knit community really helped in the transition. I met people straight away from different backgrounds, as well, like students as well as staff, and that really, really helped me through my transition. So I think this is one thing that I got out from this university and that I'm really happy to share with you guys. Please stay if you have any questions. I'll be here until the end to answer you guys' questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Charlene. That was very nice and again, informative. And you could hear here, she was talking about the PTY year, which is the same thing that Dr. Yao was talking about. So it really is a very useful thing to do if you join us. Yes, so now we're into the final segment of our event, which is where we have our live Q&A. So here we'll be answering the questions that you guys submitted when you registered, if they haven't already been answered with the content delivered in the course overview and from Charlene's useful information. And any other questions that you guys have now and send in, we will also try to answer those for you now in this live Q&A. So could I please ask for Charlene and Dr. Yao to both join us on screen, please? Hi, Dr. Yao.
Hello.
And hi, Charlene. All right, just give me a second, guys. Awesome. Okay, so we do have a few questions remaining from those that were sent in with their registration forms. So what I'll do, I'll just read out the questions and whoever wants to answer, I guess, depending on the question, if it needs an academic or current student's response. What is the interview process like for this course? So Charlene, why don't you tell us what the interview process was like for biomedical science, if you had an interview? I
didn't have an interview. I think
we don't do interview. There's no interview for biomedical science coming to the biomedical science. I think if you are asking about in the interview, I mentioned, unless maybe Charlene will want to talk about whether she went for an interview to get a place for the PTY. To come and do biomedical science, you don't have to be interviewed. You don't do any interview for the biomedical science course.
Okay, so for biomedical science, places are offered if you meet our entry requirements, and I guess also from the content in the personal statement, maybe. So there is no interview for biomedical science. What about the interview process for the PTY year, Charlene?
So yes, I did have an interview with both of my placements. So like I said, I did the GOSH placement, so for 3 months, and then I did a placement at St. George's. So in both of these cases, it's pretty straightforward. Some questions like calculation questions, why you want to work with a team, some past experiences that you might have and how these helped develop your skills. And then I think one of them also was, what is a recent paper that you've read? Because at St. George's, like, we are taught to be active learners. So you learn a lot from the lecturers. And then, of course, after, if you want to do well in your exams and do well in overall, you read about what you've learned in the lectures. So most of the time they will ask this kind of questions. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And another one for you, Charlene. Somebody has asked what the workload is like while studying on the course.
I mean, I didn't find it particularly hard to manage my social life and my work life, I'm honest. I'm very organized, so that definitely helps. And I think that's one of the first things you need to be on top of is, as soon as you do a lecture, you know, during the week, work on it. So I used to basically listen to lectures or go to the lecture halls, that's very important, then type my notes, and then, you know, just do another review maybe a week after. But I was very on top of my work, so then during the weekend I had that free time. You also have a free time during Wednesday. So Wednesday, about this time, usually you don't have to go to uni, and that's saved up for sports or any extracurricular activities, which I thought was great because I could have this downtime from all the work that I had to do during the week.
I just want to add to what Charlene said. That's very well done, Charlene, because that is what I always advise students to do. And I think you are doing just that, organizing yourself, attending lectures, and then typing in some lecture notes, and also making sure that you are on top of that thing. That is very important for students because you've done that one. That's why you didn't find this thing to be very difficult. I know there are some students who are not doing that, so they struggle, but you are doing the right thing. Well done. And I hope the students who are listening to you also, when they come to St. George's, you'll be able to show them, teach them what they need to do to be able to be on top of the lectures or the course. Well done.
Excellent, thank you. I've got a few questions here, which I'll just quickly fire answers to because these are quickly really short ones. So some people have asked about the application deadline for 2022 entry, which I believe now UCAS has moved that to the 26th of January for those applying to start in 2022 September. So that's application deadline. And somebody has also asked about transferring into medicine, which Dr. Yao has already mentioned in his overview, but I'll just quickly say again, for those that are applying to start in 22 entry, you do still have an option to apply for the transfer to medicine, which you would apply for that transfer after your second year, and you have to complete the degree, and then you'll potentially be considered to start at the end of the degree once you have graduated. So for those applying for 2022 entry, there is still an option to apply for transfer to medicine. Yeah? Excellent.
Can I just add to that, sorry, about the transfer, because I went through basically the whole process with my cohort. So I did the PTY, and when you do the PTY, you actually do your interview once you've done your PTY, so also on the third year, which also a lot of the time, like if you do, like we were told, if you do a PTY, that builds on your CV for the transfer. So that's another good thing to add, you know, once you want to do the transfer. But yeah, it depends on what you're doing basically.
That's true. That's true. That's correct. Yeah, PTY helps you because you gain a lot of skills that you can use that one in your interview. That's correct. That's good.
My friend got the transfer actually after her PTY, so I know that it's a useful tool.
Awesome. Thank you. And another question, how frequent are the examinations while on biomedical science, or the assessments, and what are they like? So what type of assessments are there for biomedical science, and how frequent are they? So maybe Dr. Yao, you might want to kick us off with this.
Okay, okay. I think we do what we call continuous assessment. So for instance, if students are doing practicals, every practical that you do, I mentioned that you do practicals once every week. So that practicals is assessed, but it's like you are working with your friends or your partner in the lab, and you discuss information, but we have to mark, make sure that you have understood that, and we give you mark for that. So that one is assessed. And also you'll be writing, I think in the second year, at the end of, did you do, at the end of every semester, there is an exam, there's exams, long answer questions, and also short answer questions, and also single best answer questions, or what we call multiple choice. So you do, at the end of every semester, there is exams at the end of the semester. And then also there is continuous assessment like practicals, you do, will be assessed. And then also in second year, you write what we call the independent student project. That will also be assessed. So that will be part of your mark for the second year or for the whole cohort, the whole of your 3-year degree. So whatever you do in first year, yeah, it's counted for the whole 3 years degree. So I don't know if Charlene want to add something to what I've said.
Yeah, no, we have, I mean, those are the main assessments that we have. Again, I never found them particularly hard because I was always on top of my work. It becomes harder when you don't follow your lectures and you just basically go to lecture halls or don't go to lectures, and then you're at the last month you start to prepare everything. That's when it gets a bit too much, and definitely that's just not possible. You can't cram this kind of exam in the last minute like you would have maybe in A-levels or like even GCSEs. I think that's the only big change, but I think that's for every university. I have a twin sister in another university, and she told me the same thing. She could not cram for her exam last minute. So yeah.
Yeah, it's not like sixth form, so it's not like secondary school. Yeah, that's why I mentioned in my presentation that we teach you to become independent learner. You know how to the transition from sixth form school to university is very, very vast, and it can be difficult for you. So you have to learn how to learn in the university way. So starting right from the beginning, not waiting to the last few weeks before exam before you start cramming everything. It won't help you. No.
Yeah, and I'm dyslexic, so I know also like I know before going to uni, I was super scared of like not having that support that I had in high school, and that's not the case at all. Like I told the university straight away that I needed a computer and extra time, and they provided that. And every year we have meetings sometimes if you need it to discuss how can you improve or is there anything in addition that you need. So yes, that's definitely one thing that I'm very appreciative of St. George's taking care of for exams. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Another question which I think Charlene could answer. Somebody has asked, how much interactions do you have with other healthcare students at the university?
Well, it depends, I guess, on your set. Like, I mean, I have my flatmates. I have a PhD student in my household. So she was a biomed student at St. George's, and then she graduated and became a PhD student at St. George's. I have a medical student that's 4th year now, and myself a biomed, and then I have another biomed. So it really depends on, you know, where you go in terms of societies. I would say, I think the best way to meet different types of people is by going to these events that the SU holds. That's when you will meet a lot of different people. But yeah, it's not just biomeds, medics, and pharmacologists. Like we all come all together really with the societies.
Excellent, thank you. And you spoke a bit about the support at St. George's in terms of your dyslexia and things like that. What about the support, if you've ever needed extra support or guidance or anything from your lecturers and things? How is it interacting with the lecturers at St. George's?
So for the PTY, actually, during the pandemic, because we were really unsure what was going on, of course, like most people around the country, but especially like because I wasn't sure when I could get into the lab, we had a team, a PTY team, and they were there every step of the way. So as long as you're pretty upfront and you ask for help and you talk to your professors and to the staff, they're there. It's just making sure, you know, making the first step and telling people like, hey, I need help or I need a bit more support here. I used to also go after lectures sometimes and ask questions. And again, like when you show interest, they love it, asking questions. I mean, like right now, for example, I have my courses online, half in the lab, half online. And most of the time at the end of the lectures, when, you know, we start questions, we start discussion, and it goes on and on and on. So it's really being interactive, I think, is the most important part of this whole experience, making sure you ask questions and ask for help when needed. But they can't know that you need help without you telling them. I think that's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Excellent, thank you. A quick question, again, I guess for you, Charlene. Do you have any interactions with patients?
So we're a biomed degree, not a medical degree, but of course, I did do a lot of work experience at St. George's Hospital because of my, the link with the uni and the hospital. And like I said, the Pediatric Society, they gave us some work experience. So during that time, yes, I did have interaction. I also, the university, through the student union, I got to become a vaccinator. So again, you find, because it's such a close community, you find yourself in getting so much different possibility and opportunities. And this is what I really loved about St. George's. Again, from my sister's point of view, where she goes to a huge university, she didn't have that much opportunity because you don't know everyone. It's more of a spreaded campus, and yeah, you don't have that kind of connection that links everyone. So it really depends on where you go and decide, how you meet people and everything.
Okay, thank you. Somebody has asked a question about whether you need to do the UKCAT or BMAT or any of those what do you call them? Aptitude tests, basically, when applying for our internal transfer to medicine. Would any of those tests be required?
No.
Moment, no.
That's why a lot of people really like this transfer route, because you don't have to do any exam. You just have to get the grades and then do the MMI.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Yao, somebody has asked if they get grades A, B, C for their A levels, would they be considered?
Okay, well, it depends on what subject they got the C in. So I mentioned that you need three Bs, but the Bs should be in biology and chemistry. So if you get A in, let's say, what subject should I say, arts or something of that sort, or Russian language, for instance, or Spanish, and you get B in chemistry and C in biology, no. But if you get A, B, C, the A and B is in biology and chemistry, and the C is a third subject, which is not very, very important. I won't say not very important, not either chemistry or biology. Your chances are higher. Yes, we will consider that. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Somebody has asked, what is MMI? I'll just quickly respond to this since it's not about biomedical science directly, but MMI is an interview style. It stands for multi-mini interviews. That's how St. George's interviews for medicine and a few other courses. But that is not how we interview for biomedical science, because we don't traditionally interview for biomedical science. So if you want to know more about MMIs, there is more information on our website about that. Thank you. Okay, well, that is the end of our questions that we have for this webinar.
I think someone asked about PTY. I think that one was answered during my talk, I guess so. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, all those other ones have been answered. There are a few other questions coming in now, but these ones are kind of focused, I guess, more towards medicine. Is doing an EPQ good? Would doing an EPQ help anybody's application, Dr. Yao, when applying for biomedical science?
No. Biomedical science, the entry requirements is what I put on the in my slide. Your A levels, and then your GCSE. And also sometimes we look at your personal statement, depending on, sometimes if somebody here might have got some grades that has fallen a little bit below what our requirements. We look at their personal statement, maybe there might be some mitigation circumstances that might have caused him or her to get a lower grade. Then sometimes we consider that one as well. Yeah.
Excellent. And one final question, which again I'll just answer because it's more medicine related. It's about the transfer and if you need to specialize after completing both the biomedical science course and the medicine course. So I I would say for more information about the medicine program, please do go onto our website. We have the Introduction to Medicine webinar recorded and live on our website or on our YouTube channel. So please, for more information about the medicine program, please do visit our website and take a look at our Introduction to MBBS 5 or MBBS 4 webinars for more information about those. Okay, so I think that's the end of our questions. I'd like to say thank you so much to Charlene and Dr. Yao for your expert insight into the course. Thank you so much for your contributions today. I'd like to say a big thank you to our support staff from the admissions team, student recruitment team, student services team for helping respond to the questions sent in. And a big thank you to our audience for joining us today. I hope you got all of your questions answered. If you still have questions outstanding after this webinar, please do send an email to study@sgul.ac.uk and our inquiries team will endeavour to respond to you. Other than that, I wish you guys all the best with your future applications, and we look forward to hopefully welcoming you to our St. George's community in the very near future. So thank you all for joining us and have a good night.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you. Well done,
Bye.
Charlene.